talk about the Clippers situation. Recently, they acquired James Harden. So now you pair James Harden with Russ, Russ was playing extremely well, and he's been playing well since he got to the Clippers last year. You got Kawhi, you got PG. Do you think they needed James Harden, and what's going on? Why hasn't it been able to mesh so far?
So in basketball or in team sports, as you know, chemistry is the biggest thing that you have to overcome.
Right.
James didn't go through training camp with them, so he didn't get a chance to even get acclimated to what they're doing. It's going to take a while for them to figure out what they're doing, period. You know, they've been going through injuries throughout their seasons with having PG and Kawhi already. So hopefully this year, somewhere 20 games, they'll get a chance to mesh together and figure it out.
Does someone need to come off the bench? Can all four of those guys start?
No, they can't really. I mean, that's just the reality of shit. It's not an all-star game.
Right.
You know? So what they got to figure out is how, who, and what, who's going to have the ball.
Right.
Who's going to play a role.
Right.
Who's going to sacrifice.
Right.
And, you know.
Well, how hard is it? Because James Harden's been an MVP. Russell Westbrook has been an MVP. Kawhi Leonard is a two-time finals MVP. Paul George has been an all-NBA player. So you try to bring all these personalities together. And like you said, Russ and James need the ball. Now, who's going to have the ball late in the ball game?
Good thing I don't have to worry about that. That's the question that they have to figure out as a team. Like, for 10 games, do I have the ball, or does James have the ball? Right. For 10 games, do Russ have the ball? Does Kawhi have the ball? Does PG have the ball? Like, how do you figure that out?
Right.
That's kind of like, I guess, as a team, who's going to impose their will?
Right.
Like, who's going to be the dominant player to be like, nah, let me see, because I'm going to will us to this.
But that don't seem like Kawhi's personality. Now, I could be wrong. You've played against him. But when I look at him from a distance, he doesn't seem like a guy that's going to call a team meeting and say, hey, this is what needs to effing happen. He doesn't seem the guy that's going to bring the huddle together and says, guys, look, we're going to run this right here. You're going to get me the ball right there, and I'm going to go make – he doesn't strike me. And I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm just looking at it from a distance. He doesn't strike me as that. That seems more like a Russ to say, okay, this is what we're going to do, as opposed to anyone else. What do you – you know him. You played against him for decades.
Who is like that? Let me see. I would have to say Russ probably is more of like an alpha when I look at that group. But again, that might not necessarily be true. Knowing Kawhi, I know he is a dog, like in every aspect of the word. So they got to figure that shit out. I'm just happy.
Happy you're not on the team, happy to try to figure it out along with them.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you heard Harden says, I'm not a system player, I'm the system, I'm a system. Considering that you're not going to be the James Harden that was in Houston because you got 3 other all-stars with you. And you're not, I don't believe he's that same player because I think some of his athleticism has waned. And like you said, he didn't get a training camp, so he's not in the peak condition to be able to get by people. Kawhi ain't finna stand around and let you be the system. PG ain't gonna stand around and let you be the system. So how does James change his way of thinking in order to make this thing work?
Well, I think that's up to them players. If he's coming in with that mentality, it's up for them to change it.
Okay.
Like if I'm going into a situation and I've been the guy like my whole career or my whole time.
Right.
Only way I'm changing it is somebody make me change it.
Right.
And if that's, you know, the stance he's going to take, it's up for that team to figure out how they're going to get him to come into whatever they're doing to switch that up. If not, they're going to have a problem.
You know what? You're the perfect person. I got you here. You played with James Harden in Houston.
Yeah.
What's he like in the locker room? Because we hear these stories, staying over late in a city, going to Vegas on off days. What's James Harden like?
James, I guess what people don't know is James will work his ass off. Like, after practice, he's running sprints. Before practice, he's shooting. He's getting his treatment. He's lifting weights after games. What he do in his personal life and his personal business, that's up to him. Like nobody should give a fuck about that.
You cool with that? So you cool if he like off time he's heading to Vegas, or because you see, like, I mean, from the videos now, like I said, that social media gets you in trouble, but because they put everything on social media.
Right.
He in the club, he popping bottles, he got them honeys around him. Is that conducive for winning a championship? Because at the end of the day, for him, that's the only thing that's left to prove. He's done proven he's one of the best players. He's a top 75 player. Where you want to rank him as far as two guards, obviously the two top spots belong to Jordan and Kobe. Yeah. So if you want to say he's better than Wade, a lot of people are going to fight you on that and say Wade is the third best because Wade got championships and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So, but he's a top, whatever you want to say. Only thing left is a championship. Mm-hmm. Can you win? Should he? Like, you know what, guys? I done got this party and I'm going to be able to get that party in again. Let me go and get this championship. Let me focus on this. I'm going to give up the strip club. I mean, I know that hard because, but, I'm going to give up some of the, like you said, you told your son, he's got to sacrifice. What's it worth to you?
Yeah. Some people, I guess, some vices work for people, and trying to change a player's game in the ninth inning, that's not going to help nobody.
Right.
Right. So, however he decides to live his life, if it comes a time where he feels like he wants to make a change, that's on him.
Right.
And like everybody's gonna have an opinion. So the idea for us as athletes, fuck everybody else's opinion on what I got to do. As long as I'm doing what I need to do and helping myself or helping my team doing the things that I've been doing, I can't really listen to what anybody else have to say. The peanut gallery is always going to be that.
Right. How difficult is it for a player to change his off-court behavior when he's had success doing it that way basically his entire career?
It's going to be tough. It's hard as a you got to get humbled in a way.
Right.
And a lot of the times when people stumble across things that humble them, they start to look for ways to change and to fix things.
He goes to Houston. He had individual success, and he had some great players. He had Chris Paul.
Yeah.
He had Dwight Howard. It didn't work there. Well, I want out. For whatever reason, I don't know the reason, but he wanted out. He goes to Brooklyn. He has KD. He has Kyrie. It doesn't work for whatever reason. I don't know the reasons. He goes to Philly. He has arguably I think Jokic is the best player in basketball, let alone big. I think he's the best player.
Jokic is one of the best, but I feel like right now Anthony Edwards is the best player right now. Yeah. Anthony Edwards.
On his team?
Anthony Edwards is a fucking dog.
He the best player you mean to tell me he the best player on the Timberwolves? Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like he's the best player in the league right now. He's my favorite player in the league right now. Okay. Man. How about that?
Why did it work at those places for James? Think about what KD's is an all-75 player. Chris Paul is an all-75 player. I believe, for me personally, I think Dwight Howard should have been on the 75th anniversary team.
I agree.
Why didn't it work?
It don't work for everybody all the time. A lot of people don't win. And the team that we had in Houston was a really good fucking team.
Right.
We just ran into the best team of the decade at the time.
Right.
So.
You had them down 3-2, Trev.
Yeah. And then one of the top 75 players, first ballot Hall of Famers got hurt.
Right.
I don't know, shit on the money.
There was a situation when Chris Paul and James Harden, they were in Houston, there was a timeout. And Chris was trying to tell him something and James Harden slapped his hand. You were so what's going through your mind when you see that happen?
Let me see, I got to think back to the play. When was that? Do you know? Was it in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay, so probably in a playoff situation. Chris is a communicator through all things.
Right.
James isn't much of a communicator. So I think with Chris being more of a communicator and James more of all right, I get it, let's move on. I think in a situation like that, it's just two difference of opinions on how shit should go.
How was your interactions with Daryl Morey?
Daryl is, I guess, a businessman. Mm-hmm. He's not a bad dude. He's just, he is a businessman, and he gonna do what's best for the business at all times.
Because if you think about it, he gave James Harden the max when I'm not so sure a lot of other teams would have been willing to give a sixth man the max, and gave up compensation to get him.
I don't think he got the max when they got him.
Well, he got the max for what he could get. Yeah. And so now, Daryl Morey's in Houston, and he builds everything around James. James is cooking, wins MVP, yada, 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 going to All-Star. He's All-NBA. He's making a name for himself. People like said he might be a better scorer than Jordan. He might be a better scorer than Kobe. He goes to, Philly. He's like, I want him in Philly, and they bring him to Philly. What happened? How did it sour between Daryl Morey and Harden?
That situation, I don't never really speak on other people's situation like that, so I don't really know. But what I do know is getting the max, he earned that.
Right.
However many times he got it, he earned that.
Right.
And I know for the time that he was the MVP or scoring all the points, he earned the league and those teams he played for a shit ton of money. Mm-hmm. And this is a business.
Right.
So, and as far as like the business aspect, he checked that box off when it comes to doing what he needed to do. Us as competitors and athletes, the thing that he hasn't done is win a championship, but every great player don't win all the time.
Right.
So we got to kind of not really, we can judge him on that.
Right.
But is it really, really, really fair to judge an individual on if they gonna win a championship if it's a team sport?
Right. So my thing to you, as you start to get older, you realize that you have less time. Mm-hmm. Should he have given money back to Philly?
Fuck no. What? The hell? There's no such thing as giving money back.
Right.
No, because they're not, when they take it from us, when they find us, they don't give it back.
Right.
So, no.
And see, I think that might be the crux because, hey, if you take less money, we'll be able to get this player. But you taking money from a millionaire, but a billionaire got it.
Not even that. It's not his job to fix or work through the salary cap.
Right.
It's the general manager and that franchise's job to figure out the best way to work and construct that team through the salary cap. And if you decide to give a player the max, it's not his job to give money back.
Nah, he ain't getting no money.
Nah, fuck no.
Let me ask you this. You've been a part of culture. We hear the term culture or the heat culture, the Patriot way and this and that. Being a part of a winning culture and a losing culture, what's the biggest difference?
Habits, things that people are going to accept, your team holding you accountable, your teammates holding you accountable. That's number one. Mm-hmm. If your teammates don't hold you accountable, then, you don't really, you're gonna be a bad organization. If you don't have no vets, you're gonna be a shitty organization.
So why are teams so willing to get rid of vets? Because I've heard a lot of people, not just basketball, but in football also, the older guys that's trying to showing the younger guys how and how not to do things. Mm-hmm. So why are teams and franchises so willing to move on from vets and have, we got 8 guys that's under the age of 20?
Probably because they're cheaper. It's a business, right? At the end of the day, and your bottom line is what's important. Now, this is just my thought process. Okay. It might not be, what it is, but I would think that's the reason.
Whose responsibility is it to create that culture? Is it the star player? Is it the coach? Is it the general manager? Is it the franchise? Whose responsibility is that?
I think the responsibility is the organizations, led through the coach, through your vets. That's, I think, the pecking order it should be in. But I definitely believe that the fact that there's not a lot of vets in the league anymore, mm-hmm. and throughout all sports, I think that kind of helps bad teams stay bad.
Right. How discipline, you hear that. Now, I don't believe any I don't believe you can be successful without discipline.
Fact.
Which requires you to do your very best when no one else is watching. So how hard is it to be disciplined, hold people accountable while still having fun?
Being able to put everything in the right place, compartmentalize, they call it.
Yeah.
Understand there's a time and a place for everything. Mm-hmm. When you commit to something, that's first and foremost. you're gonna have fun doing what you're doing. If you love what you're doing,
Right.
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So
Playing basketball should be fun because that's what you wanted to do your entire life.
Exactly. So everything else is extra.